Now that you know your four-note arpeggios in all the different shapes and all the different chord types, we're going to get practical. And we're going to pick a very, very simple chord vamp with two chords. The first one is A minor 7th, and we know that chord. We're going to use this area of the fretboard. It's one of the chords that we previously used between frets 5 and 8. And then we're going to follow this with D minor 7th. So if I stick to this area of the fretboard, the D minor 7th is this one right here with the root on the 5th fret, and it's happening on the right side of that root so that I stick to this area of the fretboard. So basically for the A minor 7th chord, I'm going to use the E shape. For the D minor 7th, I'm going to use the A shape. Here are my arpeggios that correspond to these shapes. I'm going to improvise using these two different arpeggio shapes. Minor 7th arpeggio for the A minor 7th and the D minor 7th. Let's give that a try over a simple backing track. And as you're doing that, I want you to focus on the change, on the key change. If the key change arrives and you're hitting, for example, this note, the minor 7th of A, I want you to think in terms of the next chord that's coming, which is D minor 7th in this area of the fretboard. And if you're hitting this note, what is the closest note that you have to my minor 7th of A, which is on the D string 5th fret, so that you can be in the D minor 7th chord. That note is probably the 5th, right here, the 5th of D. And that's the note. So try to anticipate what the next chord is going to be and try to visualize within the area of the fretboard you're playing the next chord shape, which shape you're going to use. Let's try another one. Let's do an E major 7th chord. This time I'm going to use the C shape to stick to this area of the fretboard, followed by a D minor 7th. And we're going to use the A shape for that. So I had E major 7th and D minor 7th. So let's see what type of arpeggios we have. For the E major 7th, this is how my arpeggio shape is going to look like. And then my D minor 7th. So if I try to visualize these two different shapes together, I can see that some notes are very close to each other. These are the notes that I'm going to try to target to make a smooth transition. Let's see if I can do that. I'm going to start with my E major 7th arpeggio. And then I'm going to imagine my D minor 7th. I can reach that minor 7th. you can kind of like play around these. At first do it without a backing track so you don't have the constraint of playing in tempo and you're just focusing on those notes. But that's a very good exercise to strengthen, again, the relationship between your ears, what you're hearing, and what your fingers are playing, the knowledge of these different arpeggio shapes. Let's do another one. This time I'm gonna, again, stick to this area of the fretboard, and this time we'll play a G7. So if I play a G7, this is the G that I have in that area of the fretboard. It's on the D string, 5th fret. And for that, I'm gonna have to use the D shape. And we'll follow that with another E minor 7. So these are my chords. You see how they're staying in the same area of the fretboard. And if I replace these chords with the arpeggio types, this is what I'll have for the G7. And the E minor 7. And now I'm going to just kind of play around these two transitional chords, and I'm going to see if I can find some notes that are kind of close to each other to make the transition. So I'm going to start with my G7. Moving on to the E7. See how some notes are common? This note, for example, which is the minor 3rd of E, is actually found also in the G. That's the root of G. So you can kind of use some of these common notes. A note within a chord might be a particular interval, and that might become something else, so it's going to have a different meaning when that chord changes. So for now, you're just kind of playing around these different chord shapes, and I would encourage you to just write down random chords. They don't need to make sense, and then play over these chords using the arpeggios that you found, sticking to the same area of the fretboard. Don't limit yourself to common chords. Use half diminished chords, diminished chords, dominant chords, major 7th. Just kind of randomly go through different chords and write them down, and then just use what you wrote down as a guideline to go through these different chord shapes. And that's really going to help your knowledge of the fretboard. But make sure that you stick to the same area of the fretboard when you're doing that.